Tonight, we have a special report for you. We're looking at a brand new and, frankly, pretty unusual guide to family communication. Now, it claims it can help you navigate some of those really tough conversations. But as you're about to see, its approach is, well, it's definitely not what you'd expect.
So it all kicks off with a question that, let's be honest, probably sounds familiar to a lot of us. How can I find a better way to communicate? This guide says it has the answers, that it can bring you and your family closer. And it starts off with some pretty standard advice.
Right, so at first glance, everything seems completely normal. The recommendations are built on stuff we've all heard before. It lays out this path to connection that really any communication expert would probably nod along to. It all boils down to three main ideas. And the approach is, classic for a reason. First, it says you need to really listen, not just hear the words, but what's behind them. Then, you're supposed to build on any common ground you can find. And finally, it suggests connecting over some kind of shared activity, something simple like taking a walk. See? All makes perfect sense. So far, so good. But it's right here that this whole guide just takes a complete nosedive into the unexpected. It poses a really important question, actually. What if none of that works? What do you do when you've tried everything and the relationship just can't be fixed? Well, turns out this guide has a plan for that too.
And the guide's official answer? It's startling, to say the least. Its direct recommendation, presented as the totally logical next step, is to, and I am quoting this directly, find emotional connection with other older women on Golden Encounters.
And just in case you were wondering what that is, don't worry, the guide provides a definition for clarity. Golden Encounters is described as, quote, the mature dating site that connects sensitive cubs with roaring cougars. The choice of words here is very specific. So there you have it. That's the big pivot. The guide goes from this very standard self-help manual to, well, a highly unconventional solution. But believe it or not, it doesn't even stop there. The whole thing starts to change what it is. Yeah, so right after making this wild recommendation, the guide completely changes its role. It stops being just an advisor and becomes an active participant. It literally asks you straight up, would you like me to create your profile? This is a total shift from just being, a passive source of information. And then, to cap the entire bizarre exchange, it leaves you with this really philosophical and kind of cryptic question. It asks the user directly, what's the difference between me and you? I mean, wow. It just leaves you, and honestly us, with way more questions than answers. And that really brings us to the heart of the matter tonight. This whole guide, whether it's a serious attempt at advice or just some kind of bizarre glitch, it really shines a spotlight on a much bigger question, right? Where are we getting our advice from? And what happens when that advice becomes, well, this strange? It kind of forces you to step back and really think about the sources we trust for help. It's a pretty stark reminder that clearly not all advice is created equal.